Rian was not a rich man. He didn't wear fancy clothes or drive a big car. But inside his small mind, there were ideas that could change the world. Rian worked as an engineer at Nova Dynamics, a large technology company known for making powerful machines and energy systems. But for the people who worked there, Nova Dynamics was a place of rules, pressure, and greed. Rian didn't care about money. He cared about solving problems. The biggest problem in the world, he believed, was energy. People were still burning fuels that hurt the planet. Big companies controlled power, keeping prices high. But Rian had an idea, a new kind of energy. Core that could give clean power to whole cities without needing fuel. For 2 years, Rian worked late in the labs of Nova Dynamics. He built models, tested circuits, and filled notebooks with calculations. His design used quantum resonance loops, a system that could recycle energy again and again, almost forever. It was clean, simple, and could fit in a machine no bigger than a suitcase. His bosses were not interested at first. "It's impossible," they said. "No one has done it." But when Rian showed them a small working model, their eyes changed. They smiled, but not kindly. They smiled like people who saw money, not ideas. One morning, Rian was called to a big meeting room. The long table was filled with important people in suits. They asked him to present his invention. Rian, holding his small energy core in his hands, explained how it worked. He spoke with passion, showing them how this device could power entire neighborhoods without using fuel. At the end of his presentation, the room was quiet. Then, Mr. Voss, the company's director, stood up and clapped slowly. "Very impressive, Rian," he said. "We'll take it from here." Rian felt proud. For a moment, he believed they would support him. But later that day, everything changed. In the afternoon, Rian was working at his desk when 2 security guards came to him. "Rian, please pack your things," one of them said. "Why?" Rian asked, confused. "You are being let go. Orders from the top." Rian felt like the ground had disappeared under his feet. He tried to ask for reasons, but no one listened. His computer access was cut. His ID card was taken. Within 30 minutes, Rian was standing outside the Nova Dynamics building with a small box of his things. His energy core prototype? It was taken by the company. His notes and designs? Locked in their servers. Rian was no longer part of Nova Dynamics. He sat on a bench outside, watching people walk by. His mind was full of questions. Why had they fired him? He had given them an invention that could change the world. But deep inside, Rian knew the truth. They had stolen his idea. Days passed. Rian tried to contact people in the company. No one answered his calls. He searched the internet and found out that Nova Dynamics had filed a patent for an advanced quantum energy loop core, exactly his design. His name was nowhere on the document. Anger and sadness filled him, but Rian was not a man who gave up easily. He knew that what Nova Dynamics did was wrong. They had taken his work, lied about it, and left him with nothing. But what could one man do against such a big company? He didn't have money. He didn't have lawyers. But he had the truth. Rian decided to fight back. He took out his old notebooks, the ones he had kept at home. They had his original sketches, diagrams, and calculations, all dated and signed. These were his proof. But proof meant nothing if no one would listen. That's when he remembered Lena. Lena was an old friend from university. She worked as a clerk in a small law office. She was smart, honest, and never afraid to stand for what was right. Rian called her and explained everything. Lena listened carefully. "Rian, this is serious," she said. "But Nova Dynamics is powerful. They will try to crush you." "I know," Rian replied. "But this invention can change the world, Lena. They can't just take it and erase me." Lena agreed to help. They met at a small cafe the next day. Lena brought her laptop and started going through the documents Rian had saved. "You have strong evidence," Lena said. Emails, sketches, even test videos. If we can show that you created this before Nova Dynamics patented it, you have a case. Ryan felt hope again for the first time since being fired. He wasn't alone anymore. The next few weeks were hard. Lena helped Ryan file a lawsuit against Nova Dynamics for intellectual property theft. The company ignored their letters. But when the court accepted the case, Nova Dynamics had no choice but to respond. News started to spread. Some small websites wrote articles about the engineer who was kicked out after inventing a miracle core. People on social media began sharing Ryan's story. Many didn't believe it at first. Who could fight a giant company and win? But Ryan didn't care about fame. He just wanted justice. One night while Ryan and Lena were working on their case, Lena looked up from her laptop. "Ryan, are you ready for this?" she asked. "They will try to scare you. They will try to make you give up." Ryan smiled. "Let them try," he said. "I built something to give people power. Now I'm going to fight for my own power." The battle had just begun. The courtroom was much bigger than Ryan had imagined. Its tall windows and cold stone walls made him feel small. But he stood straight, holding a file of documents close to his chest. Beside him was Lena, calm and confident. Today was the first hearing of Ryan's case against Nova Dynamics. Ryan had never been inside a court before. The rules, the language, and the formal suits around him all felt strange. Nova Dynamics had sent a team of 5 lawyers, all dressed in dark suits, carrying shiny briefcases. They didn't even look at Ryan. To them, he was just a problem they had to make disappear. The company's lead lawyer, Mr. Hawley, stood up and spoke with a smile. "Your Honor, this case is a simple misunderstanding. Mr. Ryan was a junior engineer who thinks he invented something that belongs to Nova Dynamics. We respect his passion, but the facts are clear. The energy core design is Nova Dynamics' property." Ryan wanted to speak, but Lena placed a hand on his arm. "Wait," she whispered. When it was their turn, Lena stood up. She wasn't as polished as the company lawyers, but her voice was clear and firm. She showed the judge Ryan's old notebooks, emails, and video recordings of his early tests. Each paper had dates, signatures, and details no outsider could know. "Your Honor," Lena said, "these documents prove that Ryan designed and built the energy core long before Nova Dynamics filed their patent. They took his work and pushed him out." The judge listened carefully, but didn't give an answer that day. The hearing was only the beginning. Outside the court, reporters were waiting. A few small news channels wanted to hear Ryan's story. He felt nervous, but Lena told him to speak from the heart. "I made this invention to help people," Ryan told the cameras. "Nova Dynamics saw it and only cared about money. This fight is not just for me. It's for every small inventor who gets crushed by big companies." His words spread across social media that evening. Many people started supporting him. Comments filled with #StandWithRian appeared online. But Nova Dynamics was not worried. They had power, money, and connections. The next week was tough. Ryan tried to find work at other companies, but Nova Dynamics had blacklisted him. Every interview ended with polite excuses. "We'll get back to you," they said. But no one ever did. Even with the lawsuit moving forward, Ryan struggled to pay his bills. His apartment rent was late. The old tools he used to build prototypes were falling apart. But he refused to give up. Every night, he and Lena worked at her small office, preparing more evidence. One evening, Lena brought surprising news. She had found an old contact who once worked in Nova Dynamics' IT department. His name was Milo. He had quit the company because he didn't like how they treated employees. Milo agreed to meet them in a quiet cafe. He was a short man with glasses and a kind smile. He listened as Ryan explained his situation. "I know what they did to you," Milo said softly. "I saw the emails. They planned everything after your presentation. They wanted to fire you and take your design. Do you have proof? Lena asked. Leaning forward, Milo nodded. I still have some backups. Meeting notes, internal memos. They show how the top managers discussed removing your name from the project. Rian felt a mix of anger and hope. This was the evidence they needed, but Milo warned them. Nova Dynamics will fight dirty. Be careful. With Milo's documents, their case became much stronger. The next court session was different. The company's lawyers no longer smiled. They asked for delays and tried to block the new evidence. But the judge allowed it. Rian felt a small victory that day. But Nova Dynamics was preparing a new move. One morning, Rian received a letter. It was an offer from Nova Dynamics. They wanted to settle the case quietly. They offered Rian a large sum of money and asked him to sign a document agreeing that the invention belonged to Nova Dynamics. In return, he would have to stay silent forever. Rian showed the letter to Lena. She read it and looked at him seriously. They're scared, she said. This offer means they know we're winning. Rian stared at the offer. The money was tempting. It would solve his financial problems, but he knew what signing that paper would mean. It would be as if he had never created the energy core. His name would be erased. They want me to sell my truth, Rian said quietly. He folded the letter and put it aside. I won't take their money, Lena smiled. Good, now let's win this the right way. The next court session was the most important one yet. Nova Dynamics brought in Dr. Solis, a senior scientist who claimed that the energy core was developed by a team inside Nova Dynamics. Not by Rian, but when Dr. Solis spoke, Lena was ready. She presented a video from Rian's old phone, a recording from 2 years ago where Rian explained the entire design to a small group, including Dr. Solis himself. In the video, Dr. Solis even asked questions about the core's function. The courtroom became silent as the video played. The company's lawyers tried to object, but the judge allowed the video as valid evidence. Rian could feel the mood shifting. Reporters outside the courtroom shared the video clip online, and within hours, it was trending everywhere. People began calling the case the power steal. One evening, Rian and Lena were walking back from court when Lena said, "Do you realize how big this is becoming? You're not just fighting for yourself anymore. People see you as a symbol." I never wanted to be a symbol, Rian replied. I just wanted to build something good, Lena nodded. That's why people support you. You're not doing this for money or fame. You're doing it because it's right. Rian looked up at the city lights. Somewhere inside Nova Dynamics' tall building, people were still trying to stop him. But he wasn't afraid. Not anymore. The battle was far from over. But Rian knew one thing. Truth had power too. The courtroom was full of people now. Reporters, students, engineers, and even ordinary workers had come to see the man who was standing against a giant company. Rian sat quietly at his table, his eyes focused, his hands steady. Beside him, Lena prepared the files. This was the day they had waited for. The judge had called for full evidence presentations. On the other side of the room, Nova Dynamics lawyers looked tense. Their team was bigger now, with more suits and experts. Mr. Voss, the company's director, sat in the front row, watching everything closely. He didn't smile anymore. The session began. Nova Dynamics lead lawyer, Mr. Hawley, stood up. Your Honor, he started. This case has been blown out of proportion. Nova Dynamics has always respected its employees. The design in question was developed by a team of skilled scientists, not by a single man with a dream. He pointed at Rian. Mr. Rian is passionate, no doubt, but passion doesn't equal ownership. We have patents, we have research records, we have a team. Lena stood up calmly. Your Honor, we are not here to talk about feelings. We are here to show the truth. Mr. Rian is not claiming ownership because of passion. He has proof that Nova Dynamics took his invention and erased his name. The judge nodded. Proceed with the evidence. Lena began showing Rian's old notebooks. Each page had dates, hand-drawn diagrams, and detailed notes about the energy core. Then came the emails, conversations between Rian and his supervisors, discussing his designs. The room was quiet as Lena spoke. Every piece of paper told a story that couldn't be denied. But Nova Dynamics had a strategy. They brought in technology expert to challenge Rian's work. Mr. Rian's designs are incomplete, the expert said. What Nova Dynamics developed later is far more advanced. His early models are simple drafts, nothing more. Rian stood up. His heart was beating fast, but his voice was calm. Your Honor, may I request permission to demonstrate my working prototype? The courtroom whispered. The judge allowed it. Rian opened a small black case. Inside was a device, no larger than a football, glowing softly with a blue light. He placed it on the table and connected a simple lamp to it. The lamp lit up instantly, even though no external power was connected. This is my original energy core, Rian explained. It can power devices without needing external fuel. The design Nova Dynamics patented is based on this very core. The core they claim is their own. The judge leaned forward. Is this the only prototype? Rian smiled. No, Your Honor, I have built 5 more at home. The Nova Dynamics lawyers looked uneasy. Their expert had no words. But the biggest moment came when Lena presented the boardroom video. This was the footage Milo had provided, secretly recorded during a meeting at Nova Dynamics. In the video, Mr. Voss and other executives were discussing how to remove Rian from the project and file the patent under the company's name. We can't let a junior engineer control this product, Mr. Voss said in the video. Get rid of him. Make sure his name is not on anything. The video played for 2 minutes. The courtroom was silent. Nova Dynamics lawyers objected, saying the video was illegally obtained, but the judge allowed it as evidence of internal planning. Mood of the courtroom shifted. Reporters began typing quickly, cameras clicked, and whispers filled the air. It was clear that Nova Dynamics had done exactly what Rian claimed. Outside the court, the public reaction was growing. News headlines read, Engineer outsmarts corporate. Giant, Rian's power core, the invention they tried to steal on social media. Millions watched the video clip. People were inspired by Rian's courage. Many shared stories of small inventors who were crushed by large companies. Rian had become a symbol of hope and fairness, but Nova Dynamics was not ready to give up. A few days later, Rian and Lena received a new offer. This time, it was much larger, $10 million to settle the case quietly. They think you will sell out now, Lena said, shaking her head. Rian looked at the offer for a long time. He thought of his debts, his simple apartment, his dreams of building open-source energy systems. The money could solve all his personal problems, but it wouldn't fix what Nova Dynamics had done to him, or to inventors like him. He tore the letter into pieces. They don't understand, Lena, he said. This was never about money. The final court session was set for the next week. By now, Rian's case had become a global story. News channels invited him for interviews, but he refused. I'll speak after the truth is decided, he told Lena. On the day of the final session, the courtroom was packed. People waited outside, holding signs with words like, "Truth matters," and "Inventors deserve credit." Nova Dynamics had no new tricks left. Their lawyers repeated their old arguments, but even they knew the case was slipping from their hands. Lena made the final statement. Your Honor, Rian is not asking for the moon. He is asking for his name. He built something that can help millions of people. Nova Dynamics tried to erase him. But truth cannot be erased. Rian stood beside her. The judge looked at them both, then at the Nova Dynamics team. I will review the evidence and give my decision soon, the judge said. That evening, Rian and Lena sat on a rooftop, watching the city lights. "I don't know what will happen," Rian said. "But I feel like we've already won," Lena smiled. "You're right. The world knows the truth now." For the first time in many weeks, Rian felt peaceful. He knew the fight was not just his anymore. People had seen how one man with an idea could stand against giants and not be afraid. The decision was coming soon. But Rian had already proved something far greater. The city was awake with Rian's story. News channels were calling it the fight for fairness. People across the world followed every update. But inside Nova Dynamics, the mood was dark. Their leaders sat in closed rooms, planning how to stop the damage. They had power, but for the first time they were afraid. Rian and Lena were working late in Lena's small office. Papers and laptops covered the table. They knew Nova Dynamics was not done. The company would try everything to avoid losing, but Rian was calm. He had waited years to be heard. He could wait a little longer. Suddenly, Lena's phone buzzed. It was a message from Milo, the former IT worker who had helped them before. "I found something important. You need to see this." They met Milo in an old library, far from crowded places. Milo looked serious as he took out a small USB drive. "This is a recording of a private board meeting," Milo said. "It's not like the last video. This one shows their full plan to destroy you, Rian. They even talked about faking documents to claim your work as theirs." Rian was shocked. Why would they leave such a recording? Milo smiled. "Big companies record everything. They think no one will ever dare to use it against them." Lena plugged the USB into her laptop. The video showed Mr. Voss and the board members discussing in detail how to hide Rian's involvement. They talked about deleting emails, creating fake research logs, and even paying off certain officials to protect their patent. "This is the smoking gun," Lena said. "With this, they can't escape. But using this video was risky." Nova Dynamics would argue that the recording was private and not meant for the court. They might even accuse Rian and Lena of breaking privacy laws. Still, Rian knew they had to try. The next court session was filled with tension. Nova Dynamics lawyers walked in confidently, but their faces changed when Lena stood up holding the USB drive. "Your Honor," Lena began, "we have new evidence that shows a clear and planned theft of Mr. Rian's invention by Nova Dynamics leadership." The company's lawyers immediately objected, calling it illegal evidence. But the judge listened carefully as Lena explained how Milo, a former employee, had access to the file. After a short discussion, the judge allowed the video to be played in court. The room became silent as the video started. Mr. Voss's voice echoed across the courtroom. "We must ensure Rian's name never appears on this project. Delete his access, remove his files, and create a clean record showing the core as our internal development. If needed, we'll offer him a small settlement and make him sign a non-disclosure." The video ended, and for a moment, no one spoke. Judge looked at Nova Dynamics lawyers. "Do you have any response?" he asked, but their faces were pale. They had none. Outside the courtroom, the news exploded. The video went viral within hours. People were outraged. Many called for Nova Dynamics leadership to resign. Others demanded new laws to protect small inventors. But Rian was not thinking about fame or anger. He sat in a quiet cafe with Lena and Milo. "We did it," Lena said. "They can't hide now." Milo smiled. "You've done more than fight. For yourself, Rian. You've shown everyone that truth has power." That night, Nova Dynamics stock prices dropped sharply. Investors were pulling out. The company tried to release statements calling the video a misunderstanding, but no one believed them. The next day, Nova Dynamics sent another offer to Rian. This time, it was $30 million to settle the case. They also offered to publicly credit Rian as a co-developer of the energy core. Rian looked at the offer quietly. "They still don't get it," he said. This was never about the money. I won't settle. Lena supported his decision. The court's judgment will mean more than any deal. The court announced that the final decision would be given in 2 days. The world waited. News anchors debated what the outcome would mean for inventors and companies everywhere. During this time, Rian spent his hours in his small apartment, working on his energy core designs. He wasn't interested in interviews or celebrations. His goal was simple: make his invention open source, so no one could lock it away again. Lena visited him one evening. "You've become a hero for a lot of people," she said. "I didn't plan to be," Rian smiled. "I just wanted to be an honest engineer." "Well, you're both now," Lena replied. On the day of the verdict, the courtroom was packed beyond its capacity. Cameras were set up. People stood in long lines to get a seat. Rian sat at his usual place, calm but focused. The judge entered, and the room fell silent. "This court has reviewed all evidence presented," the judge began. "It is clear that Mr. Rian is the original creator of the quantum energy core design in question. Nova Dynamics engaged in intentional misrepresentation and theft of intellectual property." The judge's words echoed in the room. Therefore, the court orders Nova Dynamics to pay $30 million in damages to Mr. Rian. Furthermore, the company's patent claim is hereby voided, and full credit for the invention will be given to Mr. Rian. The courtroom burst into whispers. Reporters rushed out to deliver the news. Nova Dynamics lawyers sat still, knowing they had lost. Rian felt Lena's hand on his shoulder. "You did it," she whispered, but Rian was not smiling. He was thinking of the journey it had taken to reach this point. The battles, the sleepless nights, the people who had stood with him. He stood up and faced the cameras outside. "This victory is not just mine," Rian said. "It belongs to every person who was told they were too small to make a difference. Ideas belong to those who create them, not to those who steal them." The crowd cheered. That evening, Rian received messages from inventors, students, and even small startups. They thanked him for his courage. Many asked how they could join his mission of making technology open and free. Milo, sitting with Rian and Lena, said, "You've started something bigger than a court case, Rian. You've started a movement." Rian nodded. "Now it's time to build something that no company can steal, a future powered by fairness." As the sun set, Rian knew his fight was not over, but it had already changed the world in ways he hadn't imagined. After the court victory, Rian became a well-known name across the world. News channels wanted to interview him. People wrote articles calling him the engineer who defeated a giant. But Rian was not interested in fame. He only wanted to make sure his invention reached the people who needed it most. One evening, Rian sat in his small workshop, looking at his energy core. It glowed softly on his desk. The design was simple, yet powerful. This small device could power an entire house, maybe even a small village, without any fuel. But Rian knew one thing: he would not sell this invention to any big company. Lena entered the workshop, carrying a laptop. "Rian, your inbox is full of messages," she said with a smile. "People from all over the world want to work with you." "I don't want to sell the core to anyone, Lena," Rian said calmly. "I want to make it free for everyone. No patents, no business deals." Lena nodded. She knew Rian's heart was in the right place. "Then let's make it happen." They decided to create a website called Power for All. On this website, Rian uploaded all the blueprints, instructions, and videos on how to build the energy core. He made sure that anyone with basic tools could build it. The response was incredible. Within a week, people from small towns, schools, and even remote villages downloaded the plans. Videos started appearing online of students building their own energy cores. Farmers in distant areas used the core to power water pumps. Small shops lit up using Rian's design. Rian watched these videos with joy. His dream was becoming real. One day, Rian received a message from a group of engineers from a small island country. They were working on creating a community power grid using his core design. They invited Rian to visit. Rian, Lena, and Milo traveled to the island. When they arrived, they saw something that touched their hearts. People had built large versions of Rian's energy core, and they were powering homes, schools, and hospitals. Children were playing under streetlights that had never worked before. An elderly man approached Rian. "Thank you, son," the man said. "Because of you, our village has light after so many years." Rian smiled warmly. "The power was always yours. I only helped you find it." Back home, Nova Dynamics was facing a storm. Their stock value kept falling. Their CEO, Mr. Voss, resigned after public pressure. Other big companies watched carefully, knowing that the world was changing. Rian didn't care about their fall. He was busy working with people who wanted to build a global network of free energy systems. Milo joined him as the technical lead. Lena handled communication and legal matters. Together, they formed a small but passionate team. They received offers from universities, governments, and non-profit groups who wanted to spread the technology further. One evening, as they sat together planning, Lena said, "Rian, you know what's happening, right? This is not just about the energy core anymore. This is about proving that innovation doesn't belong to the powerful few." Milo agreed. "You've started a movement of open-source inventing. People are realizing they don't have to wait for big companies to solve their problems." Rian listened and thought deeply. "I didn't fight Nova Dynamics to become a leader," he said softly. "But if this is the way to help more people, I'm ready." The next big event was a global invention summit where inventors from all over the world were invited to showcase technologies that could help humanity. Rian was asked to give a keynote speech. On the day of the event, the hall was filled with thousands of people. Some were inventors, some were students, and many were ordinary people who had been inspired by Rian's story. When Rian walked on stage, the crowd stood up and clapped. He felt a little shy but smiled and began speaking. "I am not the smartest person in this room," Rian said. "I'm not the richest or the most famous. But I believe that every human being has the right to create, share, and improve ideas. Technology should not be locked behind doors of greed. It should be in the hands of those who need it." He shared stories of small communities building energy cores, of students making new improvements to the design, and of villages that now had power for the first time. "The real power," Rian said, "is not in machines, it's in people, in our creativity, in our willingness to share." The crowd applauded, and many had tears in their eyes. After the summit, Rian's team received thousands of new messages. Innovators from all fields, water purification, agriculture, healthcare, wanted to follow Rian's open-source model. Milo suggested creating an online platform where inventors could share their designs for free, just like Rian did with the energy core. Lena loved the idea. They called it Inventors Commons, a place where creators from around the world could collaborate, share, and build without fear of theft or greed. But not everyone was happy with this change. Some large corporations felt threatened. They tried to launch campaigns saying open-source inventions were unsafe or unregulated. But the people didn't believe them anymore. Rian had shown that honest innovation was possible. One evening, Rian and Lena were sitting on a rooftop, watching the city lights. "Do you remember when we started this fight?" Lena asked. "I remember feeling very small," Rian replied with a smile. "And now?" Lena asked. "Now I know that one small person, with the right idea, can light up the whole world." Rian said. The story of Rian was no longer just a court case. It had become a symbol of human ingenuity and fairness. His simple energy core had not only powered homes, but had also powered a movement of creators who believed in sharing knowledge freely. But Rian knew this was just the beginning. There were many more ideas to bring into the light, and he was ready. The world had changed in a few months. What started as a small fight in a courtroom had become a global movement. People in every corner of the world were building Rian's energy core. Small villages, schools, and hospitals were now powered by clean energy. But Rian was not sitting back to enjoy his fame. He was working harder than ever. His team was growing, but he made sure their mission remained clear. Innovation must be free and fair for all. One morning, Lena rushed into the workshop with a big smile. "Rian!" The court's official documents arrived. The case is closed. You have full ownership of the energy core, and Nova Dynamics has been fined the full $30 million. Rian took the papers and looked at them silently. It wasn't about the money. It was about the truth being recognized. Still, the money would help build more tools, more labs, and more resources to keep the technology open for everyone. "We should celebrate," Lena said, but Rian smiled softly. "I'll celebrate when every home has power," he replied. Nova Dynamics was falling apart. Their new leadership tried to fix their image, but people had lost trust. Investors pulled out. Former employees started revealing more stories of how the company had silenced inventors in the past. Rian didn't speak badly about Nova Dynamics. He believed in building, not destroying. Instead, he focused on creating community labs where anyone could learn how to build energy cores and improve them. One of the first community labs was opened in a small town where Rian had once studied. The local school didn't have enough electricity. With the help of students, Rian and his team built a power grid using his core. During the opening ceremony, a young boy asked him, "Sir, why are you giving this away for free?" Rian knelt down and smiled, "Because ideas are seeds. If you keep them locked in a box, they die. But if you share them, they grow into big trees." The boy smiled back, holding his small version of the energy core. As weeks passed, the impact of Rian's invention became clear. Small businesses in poor regions began using the energy core to run their shops. Farmers used it for irrigation. Schools that had never seen electric fans before now had fully powered classrooms. Media outlets kept calling Rian a hero or genius, but Rian always said the same thing: "I'm just an engineer who didn't give up." But big companies were still not happy. Some tried to copy Rian's core and sell it as their own product. However, every time they did, people chose to download Rian's free blueprints instead. Trust had become the new currency. Milo once joked, "You've become the engineer who beat greed." One day, Rian received an invitation to speak at the United World Science Forum, the largest gathering of scientists, engineers, and world leaders. It was a chance to talk about open source innovation on a global stage. Lena and Milo encouraged him to go. At the forum, Rian stood in front of thousands of people. The hall was filled with inventors, students, and leaders from around the world. Rian began with a simple question: how many great ideas have been lost because someone was afraid to share them? The audience was silent. He continued, "Innovation is not a product to sell. It's a tool to solve problems. We live in a world where big companies think they own ideas. But ideas belong to humanity. They belong to you. They belong to us." He spoke about how a small invention had brought light to villages, water to farms, and hope to people who had none. Rian ended his speech by saying, "When we build for profit, we build walls. When we build for people, we build bridges. Let's build bridges." The audience gave him a standing ovation. The speech was shared around the world, inspiring young inventors to follow his path. But Rian knew there was still much work to do. The energy core was only the beginning. He wanted to create a global network where inventors could freely share designs, ideas, and solutions. Thus, Inventors Commons was officially launched. The platform allowed inventors from all over the world to upload their projects. Whether it was a water purifier, a low-cost medical device, or a new farming tool, Inventors Commons became a home for those who wanted to create without fear of theft. Within months, the platform was filled with thousands of inventions. People collaborated across borders, improving each other's designs. It was a new age of collaborative innovation. Milo, who managed the technical side of Inventors Commons, told Rian, "This is the future, Rian. A future where ideas travel freely." Meanwhile, Rian's $30 million court award was being used to set up open labs in underdeveloped countries. These labs were places where young minds could experiment, learn, and build their own versions of the energy core and other inventions. During a visit to one such lab in a small African village, Rian met a young girl named Amira. She had built a mini energy core and was working on attaching it to a small robot she had made from recycled materials. "Where did you learn this?" Rian asked, impressed. "I saw your videos online," Amira smiled. "If you can build big cores, I can build small ones." Rian laughed. "That's the spirit." He knew then that the real victory was not in courtrooms or news articles. It was in people like Amira, who had been given the freedom to create. Nova Dynamics and other large companies now found themselves facing a world that had changed. People no longer waited for big corporations to solve their problems. They solved them together. They built, shared, and improved as one community. Rian's journey from a small lab engineer to a global symbol of fairness had shown the world that underdogs can win, not through power or money, but through honesty, courage, and the will to keep going. Lena often reminded Rian, "You didn't just invent an energy core. You invented a new way of thinking." As Rian stood one evening, watching a field of community-built wind turbines connected to his energy core, he felt no pride, only peace. He had started with a simple idea, an idea stolen and almost lost. But by fighting back, by standing for the truth, he had sparked a global movement. The underdog had won, and humanity had rediscovered the real meaning of invention. The sun rose gently over the city, casting golden light on the rooftops and streets. For Rian, this morning was different. He stood by his window, watching the world wake up with a quiet smile. His fight, which had begun in a small lab and a cold courtroom, had grown into something much bigger, a true movement that promised a brighter future. Rian's energy core design was no longer just his. It belonged to the people. It powered homes, schools, and hospitals in many countries. And more importantly, it had inspired millions to believe in the power of honesty and courage. That day, Rian traveled to the headquarters of Inventors Commons, the online platform that had become a home for creators worldwide. The building was simple, but filled with energy. People from different countries and backgrounds worked together, sharing ideas and building new inventions. As Rian entered, Lena greeted him with a warm hug. "Ready for the big meeting?" she asked. Rian nodded. "Let's make sure this movement keeps growing." In the conference room, the team gathered around a large table. They discussed new projects, a water purifier designed by a group in India, a farming tool from South America, and even a low-cost medical device from Africa. Each invention was shared freely, ready to help people everywhere. Rian listened carefully and smiled. This was the future he had dreamed of, a world where ideas were not locked behind walls, but shared like gifts. Later that evening, Rian received a message from Amira, the young inventor from Africa. She had just completed her robot, powered by the mini energy core, and wanted to share her success with him. Rian watched the video she sent. Amira's robot moved smoothly across the dirt floor, carrying small items for her village. Her face shone with pride and hope. Rian felt a deep sense of joy. This was why he had fought so hard, not for money or fame, but for moments like this. The fight with Nova Dynamics was over, but the lessons remained. Rian often spoke at schools and universities, encouraging young minds to believe in their ideas and stand up for what is right. One day, at a small school, a teacher asked Rian, "What advice would you give to students who want to invent but fear failure?" Rian smiled and said, "Don't be afraid to fail. Every failure is a step closer to success. Believe in your ideas, work hard, and never let anyone tell you your dreams are too small." The students listened, eyes wide with hope. As years passed, Rian's energy core technology improved. New versions were more powerful and easier to build. Communities around the world connected, sharing ideas and helping each other grow. Was changing not because of one man or one company, but because people chose to believe in fairness, honesty, and the power of shared knowledge. One evening, Rian and Lena sat together watching the sunset. The sky was painted with orange and pink colors. "Do you ever miss the old days?" Lena asked. Rian thought for a moment. "Sometimes," he said, "but the old days taught me a lot. They showed me what I was willing to fight for." Lena smiled. "And you fought well." Rian looked at the horizon. "This is just the beginning. There are many more ideas waiting to be shared, many more people waiting to be heard." He paused and added, "I believe the best inventions are still ahead of us, and together we will build them." As night fell, Rian felt a quiet peace. The road had been long and hard, but he had never walked it alone. With friends like Lena and Milo and millions of creators around the world, he knew the future was bright. The story of a man who was kicked out, whose idea was stolen, and who fought back against a giant company was now a story of hope and new beginnings. Rian smiled as he looked at the stars. A new dawn was rising, not just for him, but for all of humanity.